Hey, it's Meg with Seed to Fork, and I am here today on an early April day to talk about hardening off. And this is a term you might hear a lot, especially if you're new to growing and new to starting your garden from seed. It is the process of transitioning your plants from indoor life, indoor controlled environment life, to real world life. And it's not just an overnight process. It takes quite a bit of time. I like to give my plants at least a week, closer to 2 weeks, if I can. And so what you're working on doing is exposing your plants to the fluctuations in air temperatures, sunlight, wind, heavy rains, any of those things, right? What it's going to encounter outdoors. The thing about indoor seedlings is that because they're grown under artificial light, they actually are like softer, so they literally need to be hardened off. Like their plant cells need to be hardened off and need to acclimate to the full strength sunlight and the wind and the conditions like that. So a lot of people use fans indoors to try and get the stems to be what's called turgid, so to have strength and turgidity. I pet my plants. I don't have a fan inside, never have, and this works just fine for me. So this is the same process as what a fan would do. So what I do is when I'm ready for hardening off, I look for temperatures. These are all cold, hardy things, so all of these things can handle a frost. So I'm looking for temperatures at least in the 40s, lows in the mid 20s or above. If I have to bring them back inside, I will, but I love to time it so that I can leave them outside overnight covered. And I start it by exposing them to about 2 hours of sunlight the first day. And that is the kind of sunlight you're seeing today. This is a little hazy, but this is about what it is. Our deck has part shade, so it was kind of shady in the morning. And then once they hit kind of that 2 hour mark that first day, you can see the tray over there is under the shade of one of our patio chairs. So that's kind of one step of giving it a little protection. I put them into the shade after 2 hours. They start the morning in the shade, so they get sunlight kind of in the midday. And then as the sun decreases again, so after like 5 o'clock, if it's still sunny, I know that that sunlight's kind of soft enough again that I'll pull all of the covers off again. So every day you increase it just a little, and you don't want to hasten the process. You don't want to speed it up too much because you will be met with sunburn. Plants can get sunburn just like we can if they aren't acclimated appropriately. And truth be told, it happens to my plants every year, even when I go through this process, even when I take like 7 or 8 days to harden off my seedlings. My cauliflower seems just especially susceptible to sun scald. And so I almost expect it at this point, but the plants always bounce back. And that you can take that a step back further, and that's because I have really strong seedlings that I'm putting into the ground. So I love growing from seed, and I love starting things indoors. They're just much stronger than if you direct sow in a lot of ways, more resistant to pests and things like that. But you have to take this step. You have to kind of slow down for a minute and almost what feels like stop your progress. But this is progress. It doesn't look like progress because they feel like they're in plant purgatory, but they're moving in the direction of being phenomenally strong plants for you. So don't rush this process if you're new to this. These plants are taking about 2 weeks this year to harden off, and we've had an exceptionally warm spring, and so I'm able to take them. They came out about a week ago onto the deck, and we're getting a bunch of rain this week, and I'm going to have them live under the eave during the rainstorm, and I'll check to make sure they don't get waterlogged. And that's going to be cloudy, so I won't even bother to cover them for the next several days. And then we'll see how the end of the weekend is. I might want to let them have a few more days of like full sun before I put them in the garden. Right now I'm about a week in, and I'm probably giving them a full half a day of sun, but our garden is a full 12 hours. So this is why I don't want to rush this process too much. So take your time hardening off your seedlings, and you will be met with faster growth and faster acclimation into your garden when you do so.